Oh, the timer goes off after 30 seconds of that dope ass.
Oh, it's rad hold music. I just kind of want to listen to that.
That's my jam.
Yeah.
I think that's better than us. Just turn us off, put that music back on.
Shut us right off. Friday the 13th, Fridays with the Pint. You got Larry, Scary Larry. You got Stu, and you got myself, John. Of course, I'm Where's Roy, and Stu is Zombie Stu. Chris, Lloyd, what's going on? Lloyd, by the way, let's say it right off the bat. Happy birthday to Lloyd.
Happy birthday, Lloyd.
Today is Mr. Green's birthday, and he's been enjoying himself, having a good day. I don't know if he worked or not. Hopefully you did not, because work is fucking for suckers. So we are back as we have been 5 times prior, except the only difference this week is it is actually on a Friday the 13th. It's a little bit later, and this movie completely sucks, but we'll get to that in a couple minutes. So we got plenty of time to talk about this one.
So objectively wrong.
Now, I do want to say that as you're watching along with this this video and hearing us talk about these, if you want to go to Stu's website, swooptions.com, you can see a list he put out yesterday. Stu, you ranked these movies.
I was late last night, but it was I think it was released like during the Friday of the 13th. So it might have been like 1 a.m. or something.
So synergy, corporate synergy, he goes along with the Friday the 13th theme. You could find out what he thinks and get a little thought process into some future episodes. I was shocked by what I saw coming up a little bit, but hey, it's okay. If you want to, of course, go over to horrornewsnetwork.net, you could read a bunch of stuff that Larry does. And I don't have a banner here, but if you go over to each one of you is on a different podcast this week. Larry, which podcast are you on this week?
I was on the Nomcast this week, the Netflix original movie podcast, where we discussed 3 Netflix original movies: His House, Cadaver, and Never Fall Asleep in the Woods, or some some oddly named Polish film. Which is not good, but you can listen to the episode and figure that out.
Yeah.
John, you told me that His House is good, right?
Yes, His House. Larry, I think I mentioned it to Larry because I heard about it before he did, and just heard that His House was a good horror movie. Knew nothing about it. Larry watched it, told me to watch it. I bounced back and watched it. It is excellent. Very, very cool. Very good movie. Stu, you're on a podcast this week. What podcast were you on?
I am on the newest edition of Collateral Cinema, where we talk about Spider-Man 3. The Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire with Venom and Sandman Spider-Man 3.
Right, yeah.
The dancing one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dickhead Peter Parker.
I thought that dance thing was highly underrated. I loved it.
I agree. I think that's one of the best parts of that movie.
Well, it's not much of a...
It's not a good movie, but I think that's one of the better parts.
Exactly, yeah. The rest of the movie surrounding it, not good, but
no.
That part at least made me laugh, which is good. I like to laugh.
Not bueno. So get the Nomcast, get what was it again? It was Collateral Cinema?
Yep.
Get those on your pod players. Pint of Comics this week. We had our buddy Anthony, who is always on the Saturday night watch parties for Larry's Connecticut Cult Classics. Lloyd and I talked to him about the Joel Schumacher 1999 Nicolas Cage movie 8mm. So you got 3 podcasts you can check out, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Yeah. Oh, do you have a shirt for it?
Well, and this is Part 4. I just threw on a Tommy Jarvis.
Okay.
But I do have Jason Lives socks.
Jason Lives socks.
Hold on, let me see if I can. They actually say Jason Lives on the bottom of the
sock. Oh yeah,
yeah. They're
Lives.
They're Friday the 13th socks.
It's not Jason Lives Matter.
It could be.
He's back. The man on Larry's feet is the actual. I want to say hi to Eve. Eve is on tonight. Patrick is on tonight. What's going on? Keith is on. Everybody, thank you for coming along. And Chris, as always, thanks for checking these out and checking out when we did Halloween 3. It's been a lot of fun.
I see the comment down there. Why doesn't Eve like Part 2? Part 2 was great. Had the secret pregnant woman. It had Baghead Jason.
Part 2 is my favorite.
We'll get into your theories in a little bit. Let's talk about Jason Lives. All right. First things first, as we've brought up a few times before, let's go into like kind of the lineage as to where we're at so far. So parts 1 through 3 comprise the Jason's Big Weekend, right? Or I'm sorry, part 1 is its own, and then 2, 3, and 4 is Jason's Big Weekend. Okay.
It's like most dudes will go to like Vegas with the boys for the weekend.
Yeah.
Jason spent the weekend in the woods, different parts of the woods.
Yeah.
But,
just bouncing around.
On different camps. Different camps. Mackinac and whatever the other two were. I don't know.
Yep. Fuckanuck, whatever they were. And he was taking care of business for that whole like Friday through Sunday.
Yeah, it was a Friday through Sunday, Friday the 13th through Sunday the 15th. He started with Baghead, and then the next day he was weird rapey Jason, and then the next day he was just going out after all of Tommy Jarvis's friends and his dog and everything. Mm-hmm. Part 4 is the hinge point for that, because part 4 begins the Tommy Jarvis trilogy, which moves along into the one we're talking about tonight, which Keith is very right about. Is 6 insults my intelligence. Yeah.
Who doesn't like this one?
We'll get there,
absurd.
We'll get there.
Man. We absolutely will get there. I want to point out when we get to our end ratings here that on the last episode, I know Larry was against me too. I gave part 5 4 stars, and I got booed and hissed at. I want to see what Stu gives this piece of shit. But anyways,
to be fair, let me note this because I cross-posted my article on 411 Mania today, and I got a lot of comments on it. And I am here to tell you, based on the comments, which have a plus or minus error margin of about 99%, but it seems like by far the 2 most popular ones are this one and 4. And I didn't like 4, so I get it.
Yeah, those people are all mostly wrong.
Yeah,
but we'll get there.
I did read quite a bit about this one being pretty popular amongst the fans. So, and I feel like I've lost the pulse of the fan base, but we'll get there. So this ends the Tommy Jarvis trilogy, but much like part 4 was a hinge point starting that and ending another one, this is the beginning of Zombie Jason.
Yep.
So now that's not really a trilogy. That's kind of like the last 4, right?
Well, I don't consider 9 to be canon. Because all the other movies tell a cohesive story, and then 9 is just like, just don't pay attention to anything that happened before this one.
We're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah,
we're getting ahead.
Let's get into a little bit of the numbers here of Friday the 13th Part 6. And Lloyd, who hasn't even watched these movies, has been watching them here and there. He enjoyed this one. He told me today.
He did. Lloyd and I talked about it. We agreed you're wrong.
Yeah. Okay. So, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, came out on August 1st, 1986. It had a budget of $3 million. Again, these all have around that same budget. Mm-hmm. It made $19 million in the U.S. Now, that obviously is a great number in terms of over $3 million, but this was the first of the movies to not break 20 million.
Right.
And this is where most of the Friday the 13th experts would consider the decline in returns to start, right? This is where
this is the shark, like the shark, and then the pool, and the fucking Fonzie jumping over it.
Yeah,
that's basically where it happened. Well, or did it happen with part 5? I don't know.
No,
listen, Mr. Fucking 5-star movie.
4-star. All right, 4-star.
Whatever.
So the director of this one, they gave it to a guy named Tom McLaughlin, not Sean McLaughlin, but this guy might be called Tommy Mac. I don't know. He wrote it as well. He directed years later. Sometimes They Come Back, the Stephen King CBS miniseries or movie.
Yeah.
He had done stuff for Amazing Stories, Freddy's Nightmares, and Friday the 13th, the series. And his big, I guess, claim to fame, a movie I'm not familiar with, but I'm sure Larry probably is. One Dark Night, I guess, was a horror film that he was known for prior to this, and it's kind of what got him the job. Now, what kind of got him the job was his sense of humor, and that is something that people really talk about a lot with this movie, is that it's self-referential, that it's got a better sense of humor than the other movies. Kevin Williamson, who wrote Scream, apparently at one point in an interview had said that one of the reasons he wrote Scream to be, this whole self-referential new type of horror movie was Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. I don't see any of this. I don't know. I feel when I watch this and I read shit like that, I feel like either I have blinders on or I don't know what the fuck people are talking about, because I didn't feel like this was any funnier than any other ones. I didn't feel like there was a real sense of referencing in this thing. The only thing I noticed that I thought was different in this one, in terms of like that you could say was a real jump, and it was one scene, was a character breaks the fourth wall in one scene, and that's it. I don't know. So let's start there. Larry, do you see this as a particularly funny or clever installment in the writing?
I'm surprised you don't see it, because it is definitely a step away from the first 5, even though 5 was fucking stupid. At least it wasn't intentionally funny. This one, they tried to be intentionally funny with your paintball guys in the fucking woods. And, it's got a whole lot of parts in, like when the guy's like, well, what do you think, I'm a fart knocker or something? And all the kids are like, yeah. Like, there's a whole lot of wannabe humor in there. Which
go back to part 5 and the hillbilly mother and the kid on the motorcycle.
It started there.
You had that there.
It started there. I mean, but that's one piece, right? Like with this, they tried to do it a few times. There's a whole bunch of weird little comedy bits that they try to jam in here, and for me, it just every time it happened, it took me way the fuck out of it, and I was just like, whatever.
I will say there's one thing in particular this movie tries to do funny that I think it was the worst part of the movie, is the 2 sarcastic little kids that are like, so what were you going to be when you grew up? I was like, all right.
We're going to die now, kid.
Yeah, we're dead meat. Yeah, that part didn't work for me, but it's, it's the movie trying. It's the Jason movies finally just embracing the goofiness. Like, they looked at some of my favorite parts from part 2, like Jason falling off of a chair, Jason cowering from a chainsaw, and was just like, bring those in. Do more of that.
We went from a series here that was at least trying to be scary. Whether it was successful or not is subjective. But we went from a series that was trying to be scary, and then in part 6, not at all. Like, I don't think they were trying to be scary in here at all. They didn't even. There's no fucking gore to speak of. Everything was cut away from. From what I heard, they almost got a PG-13. They had to actually add gore to fucking make it an R because they didn't want to be embarrassed. Like, I mean, listen, it starts with a fucking James Bond opening. It starts with a James Bond opening. Like, you should have known right from the get-go that we're in for trouble. Keith is exactly right. This is where they stopped taking it seriously. And I didn't realize that it was a choice until much later. Like, I saw an interview with the director on a making of, and I was just like, but that didn't make it better for me that it was a choice.
Right.
Because again, you took a series that I grew up with and that actually scared me when I was a kid, and you turned it into a fucking slapstick routine. And I was just like, no.
I would argue, because we had talked about during part 2, there's Paul, there's someone else in this room.
Yeah.
I would say this movie has the second best straight scary scene of the entire franchise.
Let me ask you. Let me guess what you're going to say.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think there's anything really scary in this. Are you talking about the whole scene where he's outside the window and the girl's walking and he's following her?
Yeah. Where she's like leaning down talking to that girl, and it doesn't have any crescendoing music or anything, but the counselor lady stands up and he's just in the window.
Yeah.
Like, there's no sound, there's no build to it. He's just there. And I thought, like, shit, that was good. That jumped me a little bit.
You brought up a good point. There was no sound. Manfredini was involved, and I didn't feel his fucking finger on this at all.
No. Yeah. I will say the one thing I noticed about this one for Manfredini's soundtrack was it seemed to harken back to the first and second more than any other one has since. A lot of the simple notes and stuff. Yeah. But like I have a feeling, like I think this, we talked about it in part 1 in particular. His music for these is great, but I think once you get past 3 and you don't get like that fucking like funkadelic beginning in 3, like almost nothing really is any different anymore. You know what I mean? It's just, okay, now he's just kind of resting on his laurels. Like, imagine if he did some crazy shit like in 3, for every movie, but he has not done that yet.
Right now, three is clearly the one where he stepped way the fuck outside of what he normally did, and basically wrote a disco fucking album.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I do want to point out a question. Patrick has a quick question: is this the first and only Friday the 13th where there's a camp with actual campers in it? Is there any other movie where the camp is open?
It's the first one. That's for sure.
This is the first, and this is also, we talked about this in early episodes. This is the first since the first movie to take place at, even though it's not Camp Crystal Lake, right? It's now Camp Forest Green,
right?
But part 2 didn't take place at Crystal Lake; it took place at a neighboring facility. Part 3 took place at that girl's barn, party barn. Part 4 took place at like a condo, a rental condo. Part 5 was like a home for kids with issues, and now we're finally back to Crystal Lake, but it's called Forest Green now. Here's something I was confused about by this whole thing. And I look, let me tell you right now, I never went to camp when I was a kid because my parents loved me, right? They didn't send me off they didn't kick me out of the house for a summer like some of you people out there. But what I was confused about in this movie is that it seems like it's fall in this movie. There's leaves everywhere. And the second thing is when the campers first get there, the girl, the Megan or whatever her name is, the final girl says, "Is this going to be the best weekend ever?" Are they there for a fucking weekend?
For a weekend, yeah.
Like, do parents do that? Do parents drop kids off at a camp for a weekend? Like, that just seems like an awful lot, for a weekend.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you. I never went to a camp as a kid. So
they didn't send Bridgeport kids to camps. It wasn't it wasn't allowed. So I never went to a camp either. But yeah, it was apparently a weekend camp. With, I don't know, like what, maybe 20 kids total, like 10 boys, 10 girls.
Yeah, look about
like.
And like 4, I don't know, was there like 4 counselors? That was another thing with this movie. Like,
I
lost all track of who the fuck was who and who was.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was.
Yeah, I thought this was the first one since part 2 where I actually cared about the people.
Who did you care about? Janet Jackson, fake Adrian Brody? Who did you fucking care about?
I got to point this out, Patrick. When your parents send you to autumn camp, you know that. Autumn camp. You know what, Jimmy? I know you just came back from summer camp, but me and your father don't like you very much. Yeah, I could take a hike, dude.
Autumn camp coming up.
Well, we talk about this in every episode, so let's talk about it. I do want to point out real quick. This was the first one that was filmed. It was filmed entirely in Georgia. So I know we've done some California.
I thought you were going to say it was filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Filmed in front of a live studio audience. Yeah, really.
Yeah, it was like a Three's Company episode.
So we've talked about one of the reasons I like 5 so much is because I felt like the kids and that whole group were more memorable than a lot of them. 4, we had some decent ones. This one here, and I agree with Larry, Stu, is there's less of them. And none of them are discernible in any way, shape, or form. Like Larry said, you've got who I've dubbed not Baio. It's Scott Baio Jr.
That's fake Adrian Brody, right?
Fake Adrian Brody. Yeah. He's like Chris in charge. He's not good enough to be Charles. Lisa Turtle, the early years.
Yes, yeah, that's who I thought she looked like too. I kept thinking, which is funny because the actress's name in real life is, I think, Lark Voorhees.
Of Lisa Turtle.
Turtle's real name.
Yeah. Okay. And then you got the girl who you mentioned stands up and he like just bland white girl. Like there's no other way.
I don't even know her name.
Yeah, no, she didn't have a name. She had no name.
Yeah,
her name was bland white girl.
She also looked to be like about 34, but
she did.
Yeah.
Then you have the sheriff's daughter whose sole I guess character trait is that she wants to fuck Tommy Jarvis so bad that like she just can't take it anymore.
Yeah, she's completely willing to bust him out of jail, hold a fucking gun on the other deputy for a dude that she just saw one time in a jail cell. In a jail cell.
Yeah,
but he is pretty dreamy.
Yeah,
he is dreamy.
It's Tom Matthews, dude.
He is much more handsome than Part 5 Tommy Jarvis.
Well, Part 5 Tommy Jarvis wanted to come back, was asked to come back.
Right.
He did not want to come back because he apparently was super religious and at that point was like, enough of this. And I think I read he went into the seminary, like he actually became a priest or something. So they pick Tom Matthews from Return of the Living Dead. I have a question. I don't know if it was the crispness of my Blu-ray from that brand new Friday the 13th set that I got. I hadn't seen this movie in a while, and I don't know this movie well enough to remember. Does he have some kind of speech impediment? Did you guys, when he talk, he seems to talk like it's not. It's just he seems like he's clenched jawed the whole movie.
That's cocaine. That's cocaine.
That might have been it.
He's scared of Jason. He's just scared. He's very tense.
Well, if he's so fucking scared. All right. See, I have a problem with this whole.
Oh, do you have theories now?
No, not a theory. Not a theory. I've got a fucking problem. So he breaks out of his fucking mental institution or whatever. He drags Arnold Horshack with him, which leave Horshack in Mr. Cotter's class. Fucking don't fuck around with Horshack. Rest in peace. I couldn't believe that was actually Horshack. I think I'd forgot about that. And he's going because, and I wrote this down. He tells Horshack, I don't care what his fucking name is. His name's Horshack. Jason belongs in hell, and I'm going to see that he gets there. Dude's been dead for like 6 fucking years.
Yeah. In my head canon for this movie, they are coming directly from having just done this to Roy.
No, it's like 6 years later.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this was like their day trip. They went and did this to Roy's corpse, and now they're off to do it to Jason.
Oh, I don't know. All I know is Jason's been dead for like, you can see it. The dude is soggy. He's covered in worms. Like, what do you mean he belongs in hell and you're going to dig him up and make sure that he gets there? He's already fucking there.
Yeah.
He's already dead. I have a problem with this.
Tommy is not a useful character.
Yeah, shut the fucking corpse. Shut the carcass. The fuck, what's that called? Where the box he's in? Casket. Thank you. Shut the fucking thing.
Shut the carcass.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know what you're going to do? You're going to get fucking Horshack killed, and you're going to piss everybody off. And that's exactly what he does. He gets fucking, because of course magic lightning, but you know, somebody else can talk about the magic lightning.
Yeah, so we get into the fact that this is now a Frankenstein remake.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Jarvis,
it's alive.
He has another one of his fits, like he had a part 4 where he's hacking Jason to death. He has another one of his fits, and he jams a metal pole through Jason's chest. And just as he does that, lightning strikes, and immediately, they don't even fuck around with it. He immediately comes back to life. He comes out, and now
great scene where it zooms in. And you see his eye just opening.
His eye opens up. Now
the eye that changes color 3 times throughout the fucking movie, but whatever.
Well, two actors. Do you know the whole thing about the 2 actors?
Yeah, because they had Pudgy. You got a picture of Pudgy Jason right there.
Yeah. So the guy on the back of the screen that we're on right now only played Jason in the one scene where he kills the paintball guys. He was a heavier set gentleman they hired to play him, and the producers didn't want him. Did you know about the guy who played him, C.J. Graham? He worked at a restaurant in the town they were filming in, and part of his job at the restaurant was they would have like a hypnotist come in, and the hypnotist had a shtick where he would hypnotize people. Now this is the 80s, remember, and make them think that they were in a Friday the 13th movie. And this C.J. Graham guy, who was the manager of the restaurant, would act like Jason and freak out the hypnotized people. Someone from the movie fucking saw this show, and this is like when Ripper Owens got hired to be. He literally went from being the Jason at a fucking like dinner theater thing, to being Jason in this fucking movie. And by a lot of like accounts, again, I'm not the guy. Like Larry be more the guy to know Kane Hodder from this guy and that guy. But I guess a lot of the Jason fans love this guy, and the director loved him because he was an ex a Marine. So they said he was very like, when he was coming at you, he was coming at you. He was very intense, I guess, on set. But yeah, so he essentially is Tim Ripper Owens of the Friday the 13th fucking world. Yeah.
Or Mark Wahlberg for you people who've seen Rockstar.
Yeah, Rockstar.
If you don't know who Ripper Owens is.
So you got that right there. Yeah. Now
I want to point out while we're doing this, I have it on in the background. I'm watching it for the 3rd time this week, but without volume. And I just saw another one of the moments that I had forgotten about. That's just the campiness of it all was when he kills the one guy and he leaves the bloody smudge on the smiley face that's left in a tree for some reason.
Yeah,
not good.
Problems, dude. I have problems with this whole thing. With the whole thing. Like again, John, you mentioned he's hacking away at him like part 4. It's a fucking soggy corpse. What are you doing?
Yeah.
This,
Well,
this whole movie could have ended. This whole movie could have been a 10-minute short. He opens the casket, sees him covered in worms, shuts the casket. Him and Horshack go home.
Yeah.
Movie over.
Well, they still could have burned him.
Yeah.
Patrick had mentioned earlier. Patrick had mentioned earlier that you were supposed to get more of a feeling because they do mention an institute that Tommy is like maybe a little bit like he's not well, and they don't really and he says here he needs to be obsessive and haunted for this story to work, and he just comes across as vaguely annoyed, and that's the way it is. The kid who played Tommy in part 5 came across as a disturbed fucking kid.
Right.
This guy, Tom Matthews, who is a better actor if you're going to go based just alone on Return of the Living Dead, plays him more as just obsessed with wanting to kill him again.
Mm-hmm.
And in the meantime, he causes the whole fucking thing. Like,
yep,
the whole movie is his fault.
Yes. The next several movies are his fault.
Yes. Yeah, and also, as we mentioned, now Jason is now a zombie or a Frankenstein or a revenant. I don't know what you want to call
it. It's been going on in the comments whether he's a zombie or a mummy or
a mummy, maybe a vampire. We don't know. But what we do know from this point on, now that we've got zombie Jason, is that he could do things like punch someone's heart through their back.
Yeah.
He twists Lisa Turtle's head right the fuck off. So yeah, it's now he's
bulletproof.
He's bulletproof, right? Yep. Shotgun proof.
But not as bulletproof as his mask is.
Yeah, the mask.
I didn't realize that being a goalie in 1960s NHL made you bulletproof.
Yep.
Yeah. And we do have 2 other counselors that don't end up joining the rest. It is, and I read this.
You mean the guy who had Sam Wheat killed in Ghost?
Yes, yeah, Tony Goldwyn.
I was like, it's fucking.
I didn't know who that was.
I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it till watching it the other day. I'm like, that motherfucker killed Sam Wheat.
Yeah. Tony Goldwyn is an actor who's been around since Friday the 13th Part 6. That was his first movie.
Oh, wow.
He's been around for probably 35 years. And other than the fact that I've only seen Ghost once, that I know he's in Ghost, he's one of those actors that I know him. I know his name. I couldn't name 3 things that fucking dude's in. But he's been in big things. It's just he's that guy that you're just like, is that what was the other dude's name? Tate. There's another actor who's kind of like him, you know. Is that DB Sweeney? He's of that same irk of guys, you know.
Whoa, cutting edge, dude. Don't
right.
Don't shit about DB Sweeney. Cutting edge, one of the best fucking movies.
So yeah, Patrick says Tony Goldwyn, he played the president on some show he never watched. Exactly.
He was the president on Scandal. Okay.
What is that? What?
No, my wife watched Scandal. That was not a bad show.
I love that band. Scandal was awesome.
You got to harden your heart.
That's right. That's right.
Patrick emphatically agrees with
Scandal.
you. Scandal.
Scandal.
All right, so that those are our campers
I kept
now.
Watching this movie, and every time that guy was on, I was like, "What the fuck do I know him from?"
Every time he was on, in the 4 seconds he's on until he gets fucking murderized.
So within the first 15 minutes of this movie, within the first 15 minutes of this movie, fucking Horshack gets killed, and then so does the guy who got Sam Wheat killed in Ghost. So
yeah,
this is already a problem. This is already a big problem.
Movie, or that scene ends with the lady trying to bribe Jason, and Jason cuts her down, and you see her American Express card floating away. And I wanted, like, what were those commercials like 15, 20 years ago? I wanted the narrator to come on and be like,
"Don't leave home without it."
Jason can take your life, but he doesn't take American Express.
So obviously, when we do these shows, as we do when I would do the podcast, I do some research into these things. And I don't want to research Jason Lives very much, but I did it for the show. The director, first of all, the actress who plays that role is the director's wife in real life.
Okay.
The director purposely put that scene in for one reason. He said he wanted audiences to scream, "Don't leave home without it," in that scene. He thought it would be a great theater moment. That like the American Express card would be floating and people would scream out, "Don't leave home with it," because this is the 80s. If it was a Bud Light, people would have been screaming, "Tastes great, less filling." So I don't know if it worked, but the entire reason he did that was to get that reaction out of audiences.
Which is exactly what I'm not looking for from my horror films.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's get into that a little bit because we've been floating around it.
I love the guy that makes us watch fucking Terror Vision and shit is like, this movie, what's going on here?
Whoa.
This movie is nonsense.
Terror Vision is a fucking American classic, okay? Fuck.
Jason, nothing on it, bro.
I'm still trying to digest. What was the one last week, Larry? Eaten Alive?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What a fire roasted piece of shit that was. That was brutal. That was brutal.
Movie. That's a great fucking movie, man.
So let's get back into what we were talking about a second ago. We talked about it like a few minutes ago. Part 1, there's some legitimate scares. Part 2, there's some legitimate scares going through this whole thing. Do you guys like Stu? I guess I want to go to Stu because you kind of seem to like this movie the most, and you kind of brought it up. Besides the one scene you mentioned, do you feel that this is, I guess, like a benchmark in this series for scares or gore, or does it just kind of get you in the right spot more for the differences of it?
I feel like this is the best culmination of everything Jason should be. This is the one that embraces the goofiness with the paint scene and everything. This is the one that embraces, there are some scary scenes with, Jason just stalking around with the machete, Jason coming in on those little kids and just standing over the girl, Jason outside the window. I just think this is the best culmination of everything. It may not be the funniest stuff. I mean, we'll get to the funniest stuff in, I guess, Freddy versus Jason. I don't know. It may not be the scariest stuff, but I think it's the best that just puts it all together into, one movie.
Right. Oh, the kids are here.
Are you eating my popcorn, bro?
You eating my popcorn, bro?
Oh, they're both eating the popcorn.
Oh, this is not cool. This is my podcast popcorn. You can't have that. You can tell me a joke later. Upstairs, you just spit popcorn on me.
It's a very quick joke.
It's extremely quick.
What? Good job. Okay. Bye, guys.
He's gonna tell all his work. He'll tell all his work friends that one.
Yeah.
That was I'm humoring my child. Yeah, that was great.
Totally.
And they're back for popcorn.
She's taking popcorn to go.
I'm surprised she doesn't have a bag. Go.
So Lloyd agrees with Stu. He says Stu's right. That's why I liked it more than the others. But again, Lloyd has only watched like 2 of these so far. So I don't know if we could seriously take him at his word yet. He's got to watch more. I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like this one I felt like this was the first one that kind of just bored me to an extent. Like,
really?
Yeah, like flat out, like I just kind of like was like, I don't really care what happens to any of these people. Again, I'm not looking to like the counselors or the final girl or anything like that. But like in this one, I just felt like, I don't know. But let's get, so we're talking about the violence and or lack of violence and or what makes this different. I'll tell you one thing that does make this different than every other Friday the 13th film.
Are you going to say it?
Not a titty was stirring.
There it is.
Not even an open blouse. This is the only, and this goes from
this
one.
Takes place after part 5. Part 5 gave you enough of that for the next 3.
I know, but this is the only Friday the 13th film from part 1 all the way to the reboot that does not feature any nudity, no boobs. There is a sex scene. I use this for sex scene because I can imagine being like a 12-year-old kid in 1986 going to see this movie in the theaters with like my older brother or something and watching that sex scene and just not knowing if that's what sex is supposed to be. Because
those are 2 people who have never had sex before.
It is
what I love about that scene.
Well, first of all, we do get nudity because fake Adrian Brody has his fucking tank top pulled up so you can see his nipples.
Yeah.
And I think he had suspenders on under his shirt, which is a whole other problem.
Lisa Turtle did too. When she goes out the window,
she's under her shirt.
Got suspenders on fucking sweatpants under a shirt.
Under a shirt.
I know it was the 80s. Yeah. I lived through it, but I don't remember.
I realize I'm older, and I grew up in a time when people actually wore suspenders to hold up their pants, and maybe kids in '86 didn't realize that's what suspenders were for. I don't know. Anyway, they were under the shirt. So in that scene, his nipples are showing.
Yeah.
And they're like, but like to the weird fucking music, like Africa Bambaataa, and then he's like, how much longer? And she's like, 10 minutes. No song in 1986. Techno was fucking 10 minutes long.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. So they're basically boning to some like really terrible. I don't know what music that was.
Yeah.
But then when she says 10 minutes, I'm like, this is not Dream Theater.
I think it was Herbie Hancock. I think.
This is not Frank Zappa. Okay, this piece of shit song can't last more than 2 fucking minutes. And he was actually relieved when Jason cut the lights out because he was like, that was just the weirdest fucking lay ever. She was dancing on him. Yeah. She's like doing an 80s dance on his penis.
What I love about that, you see the camper from outside, and the camper is just going. And then you cut inside, and it's like, they aren't fucking that hard.
Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner.
They're having mild sex. But then you cut outside, and the camper's going like this. And I'm like, I want to see what they're doing that's making that happen. Because what the camera shows isn't it.
And here's the question about that.
Maybe Jason was shaking it because there was no outhouse in this movie, but maybe he was just behind the fucking thing shaking it.
Well, you know, an RV is like a vehicular outhouse, so that's why Jason shook it. He's like, "There's a shitter in there. There's a shit in there. I know there's a toilet in there." So that kid, right? Not Bayo, aka
His name's Court.
Was it Court or Quart?
No,
what's
Court.
the difference in what you just said?
He's saying Court with a Q, like Court, like a quart.
Was it Court? Like does he have an older sister named Half Gallon, or was it CORT?
It would be half pint. Court. It would be half pint, first of all.
Like short for Courtney.
Okay, all right.
I've never met a guy named Courtney, but it seems like it could be a. Actually, I think there's been a football player named Courtney. Let's go with that. Somebody in the NFL was named Courtney once.
And Courtney Gaines from fucking Children of Corn.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So these two, I don't know.
There's the nipples. There's Court's nipples on my.
Oh, are you getting to watch them bang right now? Good for you. It's a really good scene. Yeah,
we just went past. Before this happened, I wanted to talk about this. We just went past the scene where Lark Voorhees and the lady who cares about the kids, they were going to start playing a card game called Camp Blood. Yeah. And I was so fucking mad I didn't get all the rules to that. I want to know how to play Camp Blood.
Make them up.
Yeah, make them up.
And then there's camp counselors. I want to know how you play this game. It didn't seem like there was an end game there.
Yeah.
So, kind of like this fucking movie. So... You know, you'd mentioned something before, John, that you said that it's kind of all over the place, and you've got like
all over the place.
There's like so many random scenes of people, right? You've got the paintball fucking four. I think there's 4 paintball players, right?
Yeah.
They just out of 5, whatever. They just show up out of fucking nowhere. Somehow that's when Jason was still chubby. That was chubby Jason.
And he kills 3 of them with one swipe. How awesome is that?
They're all different heights, but he somehow managed to decapitate them. But whatever.
He chops at an angle. He chops like a bee.
So they just kind of came out of nowhere. And then can we talk about the couple in the cemetery?
With the champagne in the cemetery.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
He's like, "Oh, I've got a headache, honey. I don't really feel like what fucking stupid game is he playing? Why is this scene in this movie at all? God, I have so many problems. I have so many problems with this movie.
This is a mess. Eve says, fun fact, that girl who is fucking the guy to the Dream Theater song was supposed to be in the prior film, but she wouldn't show her tits, so they gave it to the Playboy chick. I appreciate this because the Playboy chick had some nice breasts, and I think this girl would have been smaller for sure. Might have been nice though. Now, another thing I read when I was doing research on this, and I thought it was funny, was the girl who plays average white girl, the one who's concerned about the kids.
Yeah.
She read, got sent by her agent to go read for a movie like a year after this that was called Birthday Bash. And as she's reading it, he goes over to the producer and says, is this a Friday the 13th movie? And the guy was like, yeah, this is like, that's like how they, keep everything a secret. She's like, I was in the last one. And they're like, oh, then you've got to go. Like, they don't even know who they're so interchangeable these people. This movie, by the way, its working title, because the director was a big David Bowie fan, which Lloyd will appreciate this, was Aladdin Sane. So this one was called Aladdin Sane, and part 7, which when she read for it, all she knew was that it was about it was a serial killer versus a telekinetic girl, was called Birthday Bash. So she goes to read for it. She goes to read for it, and they're like, and she's like reading it, and she goes, "Is this a Friday 13th?" Like they're like, "Yeah, I got killed in the last one." She should have kept her mouth shut. They probably would have threw her in it. You know,
they wouldn't. Nobody would have fucking
put
known
a dark wig on her. Would have been fine.
Yeah.
So this one I'm having the hardest time talking about this one out of all of them, because it just is the least. I'm so surprised.
It's not
having
cohesive.
read. It's so not cohesive. Okay, and here's a geography question, and maybe I just missed something. All right. Camp Crystal Lake or Forest Green. Now, in this movie, they've established that the town and the camp has all been turned to Forest Green to try to hide the fact that this was ever where Jason did his stuff. Jason kind of thought of as a myth amongst the kids. It's almost got a Freddy Krueger vibe.
After like 5 years. Don't forget to
exactly. These kids
were fucking years ago.
Right. This is like in 5 years' time.
I mean, it's still a stupid amount of time for that to be the case. But I thought this was more like 15 years. Because Tommy goes from being like 12 to in his mid-20s.
No, Tommy was in part 5. He wasn't fucking 12.
Yeah, but he's not the same age.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, in part 4, when he kills Jason.
Yeah, he's like 10 or 12 years old.
Look, Stu, I know you like to dig into this shit. Here's your assignment for the next one, right? For the next film. I did read in my studying of this movie that this is supposed to take place in 1990 if you go by from the first movie to where 6 is. I want you to
make any sense. That means this Tommy Jarvis is 14 years old.
Well, I want you to figure out a timeline, Stu. That's what I want you to do.
I already did. 1980, the first one took place in the present day.
Right.
Part 2 took place 5 years later.
85.
So 2, 3, and 4 were all 5 years later. And you just said what? This is 4 years after part 4?
Yeah, it said 1990.
Okay, well, yeah, it's 1990, which means it would have been 5 years after part 4. So yeah, Tommy Jarvis in this movie is 15, 16.
Well,
that doesn't make any sense.
What you got to remember? Well, but Tommy Jarvis in part 4, Corey Feldman could have been like 13 or 14. Like a small 14 maybe.
A real small 14.
Like not a Webster small 14, but like a small 14. But yeah, I don't know. I think one of the problems with this one is that when Tom Matthews took over, in your brain you automatically think he ages up. But if the other kid had played him, he would have looked just like he did a year prior. So I think he's supposed to be the same age as he was, in part 5. But
it's possible. I thought the difference from part 4 to this one was like a solid 15 years, but nothing confirms that.
Yeah. All right. Well,
just based on Tom Matthews versus Corey Feldman.
We are in a rabbit hole for sure with trying to figure this out. So I have a question about geography. My question about geography is Crystal Lake, I'm assuming, is like this small community, and they try to make it that way. When Tom calls the police station and gets Megan, or whatever her name is, and he tells her he's at by the way, there's a lot of little in-jokes, Karloff's General Store, right? When he tells her that, she says, "I'm coming, I'll be there in a half an hour." Now, Stu, I know you live in
horror movies. Everybody knows where everything is. In Halloween 5, everyone knew where the Cookie Woman was. I don't know what to tell you.
What I'm trying to say is that you live out in Pittsburgh, so you've got a lot of area to cover. If I left my house and drove a half an hour, I could get to Larry's house. That's towns and towns away. How big is fucking Forest Green? I can't
half an hour to get.
If I drove a half hour in the town I live in, I'm fucking 4 towns away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just, sometimes the writing in these things, I know it's not supposed to be great. It's alternate universe Tommy Jarvis. Chris, I think you might be right. This is Earth 52 Tommy. He's over here. Tommy from here is over there. It's a switcheroo.
At what point did you guys realize that Jason was wearing like a utility belt?
Oh, I texted John about that. I was like, John, did you not appreciate the fact that Jason has a utility belt?
It took me a while. It took me until he pulled something out of it.
Yeah, he pulls like a throwing dagger out of it.
I'm like immediately like, hold the fucking phone. Is he wearing? I'm like, yep, that's a fucking utility belt.
Yeah,
I
why?
don't know where he got it.
I wish he like pulled a batarang, like
a grappling gun.
Yeah, gas-powered grappling gun. Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, Jason was dead, some kind of corpse, and now he's a handyman. Now he's got a utility belt.
This feeds possibly into the multiple Jasons theory that this is not Hockey Mask from Part 4.
Now,
Tom Jarvis, as a crazy guy, just found a tombstone that says Jason Voorhees and dug that guy up. And the electricity turned him into a zombie killer. It was just some utility worker who was buried in his uniform and belt.
So DP brings up a good point. He says he grabbed it from the paintball guys, and because he utility belt was on the over-the-top paintball dude. Why now that was a corporate retreat. If Jason hadn't killed all those fuckers, I'm pretty sure that guy would have. Because first of all,
the machete guy was nuts.
Why did he have a machete?
That guy reminded me of like that businessman from Hostel who's like, can't fucking wait, man. Can't fucking wait. Like, holy shit, this dude should not be in any sort of position of power in an office.
And you don't give him a machete.
No,
you do not do that, man.
That dude should be locked up with the fucking dude who hatcheted the fat kid in Part 5.
Yeah.
Like, they should have been in a fucking cell together.
Why did he have a machete for paintball? And then if DP is correct,
through the thicket.
I assume DP is correct. Why the fuck does he have a utility belt with as we talked? Yeah, I think we talked about it in episode 1 or so. He essentially has shurikens. He has throwing daggers. Like if I went on a paintball retreat with people I work with, and I noticed I'm like, hey Bill, why do you have shurikens?
Unless those shurikens fucking explode into paint.
Yeah,
I don't want you using them on this trip.
Yeah, I mean honestly, we have paintballs, paintball guns, and if you have something with the word Nerf on it, I'm cool with it. But you have a fucking a belt of throwing daggers. Mm-hmm. What's going on, Bill? Should we talk? Should I get HR? What's happening right now?
Right? Should we cancel the trip?
Yeah, I think we should cancel the trip.
I think we should all just wrap up and go home.
Guys, come over here. Can I talk to you over here? Yeah. I think we should cancel today's trip. Why? Bill has shurikens. He has he has a utility belt.
Bill has multiple ninja weapons.
And he's got a shiny machete. Literally the shiniest, most reflective machete I've ever seen. It's like a mirror that he's
that machete was as shiny as Carl, who killed Patrick Swayze, and Ghost's gun was small.
Yeah.
Did you notice what he's like? Hold on, honey. I'm just gonna go to the glove compartment, and he pulls out this tiny fucking pistol. He's just like, okay.
I love that you're going up against a guy with a spear, and you have that little gun, and he gets within like 5 feet of him. It's like you're not real clever.
Yeah.
You've given up your gun advantage, dude.
Yeah, guys, one more thing I noticed. He has the shurikens. And he's got a machete and one of those 3-piece nunchucks. I don't know what they call it, but they, it's got the, and you could do like different things with it. I'm pretty sure that he means business. So I think we should just go. I don't know. So good thing Jason killed them. Carl broke out the noisy cricket. I do want to point out the car that Tom Matthews Earth 52 Tommy is driving. The truck is the same truck that Pam from the previous movie had.
Oh.
Pam or Pan?
Pam.
Pam. I'm sorry.
Pam?
Is the D silent?
Pam and Reggie, the Reckless, were supposed to come back also to be in this movie. I don't know what happened with the actress who played Pam, but the kid who played Reggie said no because they were going to kill his character off. So he thought obviously that Different Strokes was going to be on for a few more years than it was, and he's refusing work.
He was too busy on Different Strokes hanging out with the redheaded kid Sam,
who they brought to save the show at the end. Yeah, when Mr. Drummond got married. Yeah,
that's right.
Oh, Dixie Carter. That was Dixie Carter.
That's exactly who he married.
Fuck, I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
And
then Sam went on to help John Connor in Terminator 2.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
He was his molded friend. They listened to you could what was it, the Guns N' Roses song? You should be lying.
Yeah.
So the truck was the same truck. Was that VW Bug the same VW Bug from part 2? Are they trying to like give it like? Does that look like the same or part 3?
I don't think it was the same color.
It was a tan. It was like a tan.
I thought the one in part 2 was orange, but I could
don't forget in the 80s there was tons of fucking VW Bugs everywhere.
Anybody in the comments, do you remember what color Ginny's VW Bug was?
Well, no,
Ginny was orange for some reason.
No, Ginny's was red. I'm talking about part 3.
Shelly.
The one Shelly drove, the one that the biker smashed the fucking the window.
Okay, yeah,
Junior was like, and then punched through the fucking window.
So this movie is all over the place. This is definitely for me now. Having we started this in September, so in the last 3 months, essentially watching these movies bit by bit. This one to me is the most stark different film out of all of these. The tone is different. It sounds like all the actors from 5 stayed far away from this one. You're absolutely right, Keith. They were like, fuck that. that was bad enough. So let's talk a little bit about like some of the gore in this thing, because we talked about like what the kills are definitely more unrealistic in this for the most part, because we're now dealing with a Jason who has superpowers, right? We talked about was it part 5? Yeah, it was part 5, even though I gave part 5 a 4-star review.
Part 5 had the worst kills.
Part 5 did have garbage kills.
Yeah.
Except for a couple. There were a couple that were
the
belt,
the flare in the mouth.
Flare.
What do we think on the whole about the kills in part 6? I personally felt, again, like this was kind of lackluster overall. Now, I think
this is the worst so far, in my opinion.
Oh, I think this was better than 5. I think I only had one contender for best kill whenever we get to it. It was a pretty definitive best kill, but he has some decent, like the 3 people beheading, the 2 people that he gores on the motorcycle. I mean, this is an efficient Jason. That is so 2 sword strikes to kill 5 people.
So far, you haven't mentioned anything that they actually showed.
They showed him goring those people.
Did they?
On the motorcycle, yeah.
I don't remember. I know they didn't show the beheading.
I agree.
They don't show that.
I agree with Eve. She says the part 5 had the best hits.
Oh, well,
did. It did.
It had the most hits.
That girl had 2 moons of Endor on her chest.
Yeah, she totally did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just felt that the kills in this were just not there. Everything was implied, which I don't mind implied violence. So implied violence in a horror movie can oftentimes be stronger than showing it. Like, most of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is off-screen implied violence, and it works very fucking well. But that's not what I haven't come to expect jokes from Friday the 13th, and I haven't come to expect off-screen violence. Like, almost every kill that I can remember was just, they showed the start of it and then cut away. I'm just like, death by smiling tree bark. Yeah, exactly. Smiling tree bark.
That was,
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty goofy myself. Although the one kill that it wasn't my favorite, we'll get to favorites, that I actually did like, because I thought the effect was pretty good. And again, you have to get into the idea of this is a supernatural Jason that can do things that can't be done, was when he pushed sex dancer girl head out through the RV and the mold of her face comes out of the metal. I actually like that. I thought that was pretty cool. And I read somewhere, I don't know if it was the same prop, but the knife that he stabs, because he also, like, that's the other thing. He not only ends up getting like the fucking shurikens and the 3-piece nunchucka and the paintball gun and
like the big hunting knife. Yeah,
that was the same model of knife that Rambo had.
It was the Rambo knife. Yeah,
it was the Rambo knife. He puts it right through quart or half gallon's head.
Paintball players fucking came to play.
Yeah, they weren't fucking around. Now, is there a character more in this movie that you were rooting for to get killed than Court? Because that whole scene where he's driving, I wanted him so fucking dead.
Yeah.
Like, you know, where and he's just, hey baby, what are you doing back there? Having a good time, huh? He's like, you know, Stallone Jr. He's this.
Yeah.
And
every one of these movies has one of those. Like part 3 had Shelley, part 2 had Ted, though he didn't die, and this movie has Court. You have the character that it's like, yep, can't wait to see him go.
Yeah.
And he was also a complete asshole to the kids as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I was most happy to see him go.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
He was certainly annoyed because, you know, he has this once every fall weekend job that he doesn't want to do. I'm still trying to figure out the logistics of this weekend. You know, it's like November. Owen! It's like November, and he's got to go to work and they have all these groceries. Like, what are these kids eating? It's a weekend.
Yeah.
It's a weekend thing. Yeah, and this, as we kind of mentioned before, this is the first movie not only with campers, but this is the first movie that brings actual kids into the plot. Now, at any point, we've all seen this before, but do you think there was ever a point where the kids were in danger, or do you think Jason doesn't go after kids? Because we've never seen him really go after kids, right?
Yeah, this movie's kind of curious because it leads you up to that point where especially when he's just standing over the one girl in her bed and he kind of leans into her. You're very invested in that scene because you're like, all right, movie, what does Jason think about small children? We know he hates Tommy. He would have tried to kill Tommy whenever Tommy was a kid. What would he have thought about these kids? I think he would have killed him, but he got distracted by the cops showing up.
Didn't he throw I think he threw an axe at Tommy, didn't he?
He definitely tried to kill Tommy.
He wanted Tommy dead as fuck. Yeah, and the fourth one, he would have killed Tommy with no problem.
I don't blame him. Corey Feldman's a piece of shit. So
yeah, Corey Feldman. Yeah. Oh, what was the name of the song?
Oh,
Ascension Millennium.
Ascension Millennium. Yeah,
I had never heard of this thing before, and you sent it's probably 5 or 6 years old. You sent me the YouTube link. I watched the video like 2 times in one day, and the next day the fucking song was stuck in my head. I was like, holy shit, there's a Corey Feldman song stuck in my fucking head.
It's amazing that in the year 2000, he is still doing the Michael Jackson moves.
Yep.
Yeah.
He still has the one long piece of hair.
He's got his gimmick, man. He's not giving it up for nothing.
Fucking crazy.
If Jason wiped out those kids, it would have instantly made this the best in the franchise.
That's what I just laughed at a few seconds ago.
If he had killed the younglings, I would have. I would have been. I'd have been on board if he killed the younglings as well.
Master Anakin, what do we do? If that little girl pulled the fucking lightsaber out, that would have been a lot better. It would have saved this thing. It would have saved this thing for sure.
No, she just said, "Now I lay me down to sleep" an arbitrary number of times until Jason left.
Yeah, she prayed the Jason away. Yeah, she prayed the Jason away. Oh man, this movie is Stu. It's not as good as you think.
Oh, it's definitely as good as I think.
So okay, let's wait till the end. Let Stu hold on to his glory until we. Where are we going to go? Do you want to go right to the end, to the lake scene, or are we going too far? Did I miss anything?
Let's jump into
Did we miss Tommy getting his head jammed down into Megan's crotch?
Yeah,
when they drive past the sign that says question mark speeding question mark
speeding question mark.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know what you're asking me. I don't know. Are you asking me something? I have no idea what this sign means.
Would you like me to speed? Yeah. Are you asking me if I am speeding?
I remember my driver's test. I don't remember that sign.
That was not on it.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was the picture of the deer, the sign with the lines on it, and the sign that says question mark speeding.
Yep, squiggly lines, slippery road. Yeah. I get it, but
it was weird. Her whole dynamic was really weird. She was like the girl who was out to piss her father off. Her father, who is now in these movies the like 3rd or 4th sheriff we've met. You know, you had the fat guy that ran through the woods in part 2 and got killed in the cabin.
Yeah.
We had Officer Mike Simonetta in the last one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He got voted out. Now we've got the guy who looks like the rhythm guitar player in Blue Oyster Cult. And like, it just seems like the whole dynamic between the two of them is that she's just going to do anything to piss her dad off. Her weird obsession with Tommy makes no sense whatsoever.
None.
Because he's
a rebellious teenager.
She's a rebellious teenager, but like, it's not even like, I don't know. It's not like
it's one of the things that works for me because she spends so much of this movie being a rebellious teenager, but at the end, when they're back at the camp and she knows her father is there, but she doesn't know where he is, like, I buy her concern for her father because, like, that is some actually good acting on her part because she is distraught over knowing her dad is there but not knowing where he is.
This actress was known.
I buy this movie.
After this movie, she stopped acting, which probably says a lot. Before this movie,
because you were never going to top this.
I wish
you go out on top.
I wish you stopped acting before this movie.
Before this movie, she played the
two are my nemesis today.
The teenage and adult version of Elizabeth. If you ever watched V, remember V?
Oh,
she was the half alien baby that was born in that show, and then it aged like immediately. She was the older version of that. Which I did not know. I love that show, but I had not seen it in years. I ended up reading that again. So, but right after this, she stopped acting, which seems like a safe bet when you're done.
You go out on top. You're like, I'm never beating this performance. Done.
Yeah, this is on top.
Yep. This is on my Oscar clip. That's it.
This is on my reel that I give to the Academy every year.
I just wait for the commendations to come in.
Yeah. So let's get into the.
Put Tommy Jarvis in my crotch, cried about my dad. Bingo.
Tommy Jarvis and her getting chased down on the road from the what do you call that? A roadblock, and she keeps on jamming Tommy's face into her crotch. And 2 different times we get to see her moose knuckle. That he's looking at. I don't know. The characters in this movie it's all dead weight. It's all dead weight. I think the one I appreciated the most was actually the sheriff, because here's what I liked about the sheriff character is that he fucking gets into a fist fight with Jason Voorhees and he beats the fuck out of him for a little bit.
He's on top of him, smashing him with a rock.
Boy,
he
pumps him with like fucking 5 shotgun shells, and Jason just keeps on like getting up from that. He unloads his service revolver into him. That doesn't hurt him either. And then that worked. I'm going to jump on your back and I'm going to kick the shit out of you. And he beats him with a rock.
He does it for his daughter because he's hiding from Jason initially. And then when Megan starts screaming out for her dad, Jason turns and starts going towards the voice. And he's like, "Not my daughter, you son of a bitch."
Yeah. Back to the daughter real quick. I thought this was an interesting filmmaking choice. There's like a 45-second scene of her trying to balance on a chair. It's like the whole movie fucking stops and we're watching like this kid essentially do a kid thing, and I'm just like, I don't know.
That 87-minute runtime.
This one, Larry, what could you have gotten this down to? About 24 minutes, maybe?
I told you it should have ended right after Tommy saw Jason dead. 10 minutes tops.
Yeah.
10 minutes. Shut the what did I say before? Shut the corpse.
shut the carcass.
Shut the carcass. Fucking end the movie. That would have been I would have appreciated. I would have actually respected that movie a lot more than I respect the actual final product.
Every time you guys bash it, it goes up in my rating in my head. This movie's going to be a 6.7 out of 5.
You cannot go over 5. You can't go over 5.
Can't go over 5. So, Larry, let me ask you a question. Yeah. Now that we've hit, now I know you didn't like 5 either. Now that we've hit this, let's say this is like for you, because you've said it before. You think these movies should have ended at 4.
Yeah.
And you've also said that you're not super familiar with everything after 4. Like you haven't, it's not like something you normally watch.
I haven't seen this in 20 years, maybe.
Does this make you, do you think this is an anomaly, or are you now concerned about the next like 5 movies you have to watch?
Well, I know quite well that the next one concerns telepathy. I remember that. So I remember that I saw it one time and was just thoroughly disgusted. So it'll be like a new watch for me because I haven't seen 7. 8, again, that was maybe a 2-time watch. I saw it in the theater, and then then there's the one I never saw. So there's some stuff coming up that I haven't seen in quite some time.
Ooh. You haven't seen Jason Goes to Hell?
I never saw it. Nope.
That's rough. That's rough.
Oh, no.
For you not seeing that one yet.
I
feel bad I actually feel bad we're going to make you see it.
Oh, no. I feel bad enough that I saw this. So I don't how would you feel if they pull an erase? Yeah. I think somebody said that at one point. That I think it was Feldman himself, actually, who said that at one point.
The most reliable source.
Who said he would be interested in and retconning and coming back as Tommy Jarvis. He's just trying to work. Guy's just trying to work.
He's trying to work for sure. Yeah.
I do.
Respect the hustle.
Exactly. I can't blame him.
Keith, I would say that I think that could be a good idea, but referencing Halloween, which proved that's not a good idea. Because like the Halloween franchise, let's jump over to that real quick for a second.
So many timelines.
The first movie is like one of the best ever. The second movie is as solid a sequel you could hope for in terms of, it's a little bit different. It's more of a gory slasher, but it's still really solid. And then you just basically from 3 is its own thing. 4 on, you're just shitting, one after another. You're just rolling down a hill. I thought that, like, for me, if you say, what would you consider Halloween 2? To me, Halloween 2 is the 1981 version. All the hype of that thing that came out a couple years ago.
Yeah, I didn't like 2018 at all.
I picked it up. I saw it in the theaters with Lloyd and with Chris Frodell, and we hated it. And then like last year, I picked it up for like $5 on Blu-ray at like Best Buy, like on the checkout. I saw it and I was like, I'm going to give it a chance. I still have not rewatched it because I know it's not very good.
Yeah,
so
you don't need to.
At this point, I think if they're going to do anything with Friday the 13th, it's too late to make a sequel to the one from 10 years ago. That itself has itself is already lost. It's ground. If you're going to do anything with Friday the 13th, just start over. Make another new number 1 and try to start over. I don't know if you should go back to this original timeline at all. Because think about how this timeline ends. He's in fucking space. You know what I mean? Like, and if I remember,
the timeline ends with him in a sewer.
What is that? Oh, is that you're talking about the Paramount ones?
Well, I'm just talking about nothing after part 8 seems to be canon. It doesn't seem to be continuity anymore.
All right. Well, let's hold the next Stewism until we get there.
Yeah, Stu, I didn't ask, and I don't think I have it up here anymore. I might have gotten rid of it. Yeah. Is there any pregnancy watch in this one? Are there any characters that you are concerned with their menstruation or lack of, or missing their time of the month? Because that's been a thing every time.
No, I don't think there's anyone in this one. Although as I'm about to see, the lady whose name we don't know, she left an awful lot of blood in that cabin after Jason killed her. So
yeah. I was like, did they just pull Johnny Depp from fucking Nightmare on Elm Street out of this cabin? Like,
yeah, my thought process was that
usually so meticulous about swiffering everything up and hiding the bodies neatly, but man, on that one, he was just like a blood explosion.
Yeah, it was a blood explosion. And the other thing with that scene was I was confused as to whether, like, did he bring all the bodies back there and was just like slapping like parts around? Because I couldn't imagine that could be that one girl. What does the human body hold? I don't know, 8 pints? Yeah, 8. That was more than 8.
Have you never seen A Nightmare on Elm Street? It'll clearly show you exactly what a human body holds in blood.
Poor Johnny Depp. Poor Johnny Depp.
It's like a foot and a half on the ceiling. Like, nah. So
poor Glenn with his quarter shirt. Oh man, yeah.
Glenn's got bigger problems these days.
He does. Can we talk about Johnny Depp real quick? Now
it's a weird segue for Friday the
13th. Let's talk about spousal abuse for a hot minute.
Well,
that'll really bring the room up.
But the whole thing isn't it like, hasn't it been proven that he did nothing and she was the one that was the problem?
I don't know.
I try to avoid that story because people online, one way or the other, get very vitriolic about it. So I'm like, I'll just assume they both suck. But I like to look at Amber Heard more. So
okay, all right,
yeah. And I'm for me, it's just it's like I'm not on the jury. I don't know.
Yeah.
One person says one, the other says another thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the room. I have no idea. You know what? Maybe both of you are assholes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Right. It makes me sad because I like Johnny Depp as an actor.
I think John wanted a lot more conversation on that, but I feel the same way.
No. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to get too far into that one. Once you said that, I just thought, that's something that's going on right now. It's interesting. And it's more interesting that Jason lives. But so we end up in this thing now. The last 10 minutes of this movie, all right, is better than the preceding, like, I don't know, whatever it is, like
Oh, the final struggle on the boat.
The final struggle on the boat is actually pretty good. Now I wanted to ask you guys about this because I meant to actually find the article and Manster update. Hold on, we got a Manster update. I've been watching TV versions of these lame ass films until now. I just purchased the first 8 films for $13, so I have to rewatch an update. Yeah, well, for the one good thing going on for you on that one, Manster, is you're going to get a lot more titties in the first 5. Yeah, you're not going to get anything in 6,
except for Court.
Yeah, Court's nipples. So there was an article I read a couple years ago, and there's a lake in. Have you guys heard this? So the end of this movie, we end up with Jason, and we'll get to it.
Yeah,
Jason ends up with a fucking rock around his neck, a chain around the rock, and he's get thrown over into a lake because Tommy has 3 books in his car. They're all occult books about the dead. Tommy somehow gleans from this that the only way to kill Jason is to bury him in his original resting spot, which is Camp Crystal Lake, aka Camp Forest Green.
Completely abandons the burning him strategy.
Yeah, this is a huge fucking leap in like logic. Like, where did he get this information from? But at one point they showed he had 3 books on his seat, so you're supposed to go with that. Someone in Minnesota in the last like 10 years made and or got a life-size Jason replica.
I've heard about this, yeah.
And put it at the bottom of a lake in Minnesota with a chain around its neck and a rock holding it down. And apparently people scuba dive in this lake and do other kinds of like diving in the summertime and stuff. And it is known to scare the living fuck out of people.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, like can you
if you don't know it's there, like I can't imagine you just happen to scuba dive in that lake and don't know about that. But if you don't know it's there, that would be creepy as fuck.
That would be the worst. That would literally be like, because I don't, like having a heart attack's got to be the worst thing ever. Having a heart attack underwater. Like in underwater, there's no one to hear you scream. I'll paraphrase the alien.
Right.
Yeah. So Tommy decides that he's going to get Jason and lure him out into the middle of Camp or Crystal Lake, Forest Green Lake. And this is after the sheriff is now dead. We won't talk about the way the sheriff dies. I think we're going to talk about it pretty soon anyway. All the kids are dead. Lisa Turtle, head ripped off. Very bland white girl filled up the entire room with blood. Court got the Rambo knife through his head. After getting laid to the
other girl got her face slammed through the
fucking face slammed through. Did we miss anybody else? Oh, Tony Goldwyn. Yeah, Tony Goldwyn. Yeah, I agree with Lloyd on this one. No way Tommy gets that boulder on the boat.
I think it had to be heavy as fuck, man.
He's rolling it.
He's really struggling rolling it. Yeah.
He gets on the boat and the boat doesn't fucking sink. Okay, let's just suspend disbelief. He gets out in the middle of the lake. He starts taunting Jason, right, from the lake.
I love that he calls Jason a pussy.
He calls him a pussy.
How did you not love this movie? How did you not love this movie? Tommy Jarvis calls Jason a pussy. And Jason responds to it like, motherfucker, you cannot besmirch my good name.
And he also calls him maggot head. Just
twice. He calls him maggot head 2 times in a row. Come out and get me, maggot head. Maggot head, you pussy. He was one step away from calling him like a queer. You know, like you imagine that Tommy Jarvis with a Boston eye. Hey, you fucking queer. I'm right here on this fucking boat.
I'm the one you want.
I'm the one you want. Leave the girl alone, you fucking idiot.
Come out on the dock.
Come out on the dock.
I'm on this wicked boat.
Hey, bring me some Dunkin' while you coming this way. So Jason, now Jason does the single. I don't know if I like this scene, but like this is a proof that we now have zombie Jason. Mm-hmm. He just straight up walks into the fucking water, and Tommy has mismanaged and misfigured how deep he should be out because Jason walks into the water and he's sinking lower and lower. It reminds me of that scene, even though this is before, from the Romero movie, Land of the Dead, when all the zombies walk into the water and then they just dip under. Yeah. Except in that, it was scary. In this, it's
comical. Jason's a fucking submarine all of a sudden.
It's comical. Yeah, he comes in and then he ends up under. Yeah. How great. How fucking great would it have been if Jason now, along with his other new powers, had like an R2D2 periscope
Like
pop
a periscope. Yeah. Yeah.
He goes under the boat, and then he basically jumps out of the boat, very much like his original jump, by the way, from the first movie. And him and Tommy start to have a little bit of what they call a Donnybrook, a tussle on the boat. Now Tommy has so much shit on this boat, there's no way it should float. He's got a 78-pound rock. He's got a fucking 5-gallon can of gas. He brought a George Foreman grill in case he got hungry. He's got a 60-inch TV in case he gets bored.
He's got a generator to fucking power that all up.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
hold on. Is in your description here, is the water on fire yet?
No.
Okay.
No, it is. It is.
Because I think
water on fire before Jason comes out. The first time.
So just so I have this clear,
gland.
he puts about a tablespoon on the left side and a teaspoon on the right side, and it just makes a giant ring of fire around the fucking boat.
And burns for like 10 minutes.
Okay. Just wanted to be sure I was clear.
I thought that as well, because he does put some on one side, and as on a boat, you would call that port and stern or bow. I'm not sure.
Whatever.
Ahoy. I think it's ahoy, and then mating.
Starboard.
Yep.
He puts some on the
jib.
He puts some on the jib, and he puts some on the starboard on there. He doesn't make a full circle, but when he lights it, full fucking circle right around his boat.
Yeah.
Jason walks into the water.
That's just science. That's just science. Gas flows in water.
Anytime maybe you don't know, John, but anytime you pour gasoline into water, it immediately stretches out and forms a full circle.
It forms a circle. Yes. Yeah.
Right around where you started pouring it.
Yeah. I read that somewhere one time. Yeah. So now that we've got the circle of fire, and Jason
fell into a burning circle of fire.
He goes under the boat, attacks Tommy. They fight. They tussle. They're fighting in the fire. Megan is on the shore, like, just like biting her nails like a cartoon. She's essentially a cartoon woman at this point, like from a cartoon.
She's like,
the kids.
She's trying to run, but her feet are going. But she's not moving.
The kids are not helping at all. They're fucking standing there. That one little girl.
What are they gonna do? Distract him with their Masters of the Universe T-shirt?
I think that maybe Jason, you want to play with my Moss Man? It smells like
Stretch Armstrong.
So they end up fighting. Tommy takes the chain, perfectly measures it to Jason's neck, wraps it around, dumps the rock into the water. Jason goes down. Tommy goes down as well, right?
Well, Jason goes up and like Jimmy Superfly Snuka splashes the boat. And that's how the rock goes in the water.
Okay, everything flips over. Flips over. They both go under. Tommy is no strong swimmer apparently, and he ends up just floating right in front of Jason. And Jason, even though now he's anchored to the bottom of this lake, Tommy is just stupid enough not to get just far enough away from being able to be choked by Jason.
Yeah.
Jason chokes him to death, and then Tommy's body floats up, and then Megan decides to save him. She jumps in the water.
Yep.
She jumps in the water. She gets too close to Jason too. He now grabs her and starts to fucking like pull on her leg. It's a Jaws moment now, right? Mm-hmm. What was the reason that the lake was Jason's weakness again? Because Tommy had a book.
Said so.
Tommy had a book.
Tommy had a Jason manual.
He had a manual.
It was like how to fix Jason, how to kill Jason, what to do if your Jason is broken.
Yeah.
And
it's also not actually his weakness. I mean, basically they just detained him. You just detained him underwater, but they didn't kill him. They didn't stop him.
And apparently Crystal Lake is about 4 feet deep. I don't know.
Yeah. At some point, Tommy calls India, and someone asks him if he has powered it off and powered it on again.
Yeah. Have you turned the Jason off?
Have you turned your Jason off and on again? Please do that and give me a call back. And can I help you with anything else today? You didn't help me with this shit. Yeah. So now she is being pulled. She's trying to save Tommy. Tommy's dead. She's being pulled by the foot. The first time in the history of the world a pull start motor starts on like the first or second try.
Yep.
She pulled. Now I'm telling you right now, when I watched the scene last night, I was trying to figure out the physical logistics of this. She pull starts the outboard motor, and she just knows where Jason's head is exactly.
Yep.
You're right. This is dumb, but my problem with it is Jason was right under her, grabbing her leg. So if
her leg have been caught in that?
Yeah, she knew where Jason was because she knew where the pulling was on her leg. But yeah, why didn't she just cut her own leg?
And now, unless the propeller was like 8 feet down on this boat, which it would not have been. So she turns it. Now, it would have been a better movie is if she did cut her leg, I don't want to say sacrifices it, but
there you go.
Jams on herself a little bit and kills him and comes up with like a fucking mangled leg. That would have been pretty cool. But no, she just starts to like rip up Jason with the propeller from the boat. And then you start to see Jason's blood. Now, Jason's blood, if he goes to the doctor, he's going to have a problem.
Yeah,
it's very muddy. Jason's blood is very dark. There's a lot of chunks in it. I'm concerned about Jason's health.
His blood is just lightning powered mud at this point.
Yeah. It just got chunks in it. Everything floats up. So we get the scene where she gets Tommy back up on the shore. She gives him CPR, and he wakes up. All the kids go crazy. And yes, he did it.
We've never seen this dude before, but we're so happy.
Yeah. She's like, this lady we never met and this guy we don't know who he is. Thanks.
Yay. Woo. So happy.
Meanwhile, the sheriff is like 20 feet over, bent in half.
Yeah.
And So Jason ends up at the bottom of the lake. Now remember this, because when we come back for part 7, you're going to want to remember this. Bottom of the lake. He's dead, right? He's been cut up with the propeller.
Not dead.
Well, and
his eye.
The eyeball opens up, and we go right to the credits. Couldn't have happened fast enough for me. What is this here?
Yeah.
Using the boat
we're in an hour and 14 minutes in, and we went to credits. This was about an hour, 14-minute long, right?
Yeah. It's
it didn't hit an hour and a half, I don't think.
No.
With credits, I think it's 127.
Well, and Stu's watched it like 4 times in the last 2 days, apparently.
Yeah,
he's watching it right now.
And I'm watching it right now. This is time 3.
Consider. So take back the credits out. You're probably an hour 20. So an hour 20 worth of, and take out the fucking the intro, the James Bond. Fucking James Bond intro. Maybe you're an hour 15, and they're jamming in scenes with fucking corporate people playing paintball and a random couple in the fucking woods. Like there's what is there? 40 minutes of story here.
Megan just dove into the lake to save Tommy, and I hit my button, and it's an hour 20.
Oh God, that's gross.
Yeah. Yeah. So Stu, this is really.
I wish I drank. I wish this was alcohol. I feel like I need to be drunk.
So from your article again, I want to point people out to go while they're watching this. You can go to SWO Productions.
I did not read his article, Stu. Not because I don't love you, because I do, but because I didn't want to ruin the rest of it. I like to be surprised. Yeah, when you're like, this is my favorite movie of all time, and I'm like, you potato head, like I love that. So I didn't want to ruin that for myself.
If you guys want to check it out, you could see where Stu rated this and the rest of the Friday movies. This is a perplexing one for me. I feel like this is the most like, okay, again, part 1, no Jason, we got that thing. 2 through 4. All kind of similar structure, Jason heavy. 5, we got the twist of it's not Jason, it's Roy. And then this one, and again, I think this we didn't talk a lot about the production of this movie. When 5 came out, it made a good amount of money, but nobody was satisfied with the ending where Tommy was going to be the killer. The producers did not end up wanting that. Right. They didn't want to figure out a way to bring Roy back, because that was a thought at one point. This was going to be a Roy-centric series. It was going to be a Tommy-centric series. They said, no, we got to make this a Jason thing. So that's why you get Jason Lives. So, and again, I think, let me ask you guys, because I'll start with Larry. Do you think, now I don't want to say like containment of creativity, because these movies are, they are what they are. But do you think there's something to be said about when you get to the point in making a series of movies where one is coming out every year, that you are sacrificing a whole ton of possible, let's say, creativity with new kills, characters that like make any like even like are relatable or you care about.
How
Like,
much can you do? How much can you do with the same, especially now that you're right, Paramount made this call. After part 5, Paramount was like, yeah, we'll make another one, but Jason's coming back. End of fucking story. Paramount didn't want to hear a damn thing about any other potential killer. They were like, you bring Jason back. So you're hamstrung. Like, there's only so much you can fucking do. As much as I'm going to poop all over this movie when we give it its rating, I applaud the director for trying to do something that was fresh and different. He tried to inject humor into the movie that I don't think humor should be injected to, but that's not my fucking call. I don't own this franchise. I don't write for this franchise. I'm just a fan. And as a fan, I didn't enjoy it, but I do applaud the director for being the only one who tried to do something different, who tried to bring a sense of humor. And I mean, don't get me wrong, every one of them's got like a joke here or there, but this guy actually tried to turn this into almost a comedy, a gory comedy up until like the last fucking 20 minutes, like
did
maybe
you guys
15 minutes.
Did you guys notice the little girl reading the like the fucking philosophy book?
John Paul Sartre.
Yeah. I did laugh at that. There was a couple bits I thought were kind of clever, and
they worked. Yeah, a couple worked.
And what Larry just said, I totally agree with. My rating will be a little higher than it would have been otherwise, because after I watched this, I watched the making of it. It was like a 15-minute thing, and the director was so enthusiastic about what he wanted to do differently that even though, in my opinion, it didn't work, I got to give the guy credit, because really, you're coming in, and making a movie that's essentially at this point. This is the way I'm assuming Paramount worked in the 80s at this point, and like 1985, especially when these movies were making a lot of money. Everybody's doing cocaine. Everybody is just like the women in the offices don't wear tops. Everybody's doing cocaine. Like, I don't know, like Wasp is playing like in the other room. They're paying like them to, and then they're taking the money from that weekend's Friday the 13th. They're taking all the returns and they're giving a stack of $3 million cash to like whoever's in charge of these and goes, get the next one rolling. We're going to do it again this year, and then that guy immediately goes and hires someone to write and to direct, blah, 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 and all that stuff. And this was a train they were riding from essentially, let's say that this was the one where things kind of started to fall off the wheels. This is 6 years in. So like that's like, there are not a lot of movie franchises that have 6 years of solid returns and success over and over again. I don't know.
I don't think any, and I'm sure again we'll get there. I don't like jumping ahead, but I don't think any of the Friday the 13th movies were failures. I don't think, and by failure I mean didn't make back the money. I think they all did.
How much money does it make to make one of these?
I would assume
about $3 million apparently.
How much does a hockey mask cost?
I would assume
hockey mask and some terrible actors.
without getting to it, which we will get to, I would almost venture to say maybe Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X maybe didn't do well.
Okay. Jason X did the worst. I know
that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I bet you the next one.
At least that's something I remember reading recently since we've started this series.
Well, we'll get there.
We will. We absolutely will get there.
We will.
That's for sure. Stu, so what is your take on, I guess, what do you think about that idea? Like, do you and you like this one a lot. So do you feel like that the creativity actually started to blossom a little bit after this?
I think they hit a point where after the fourth one, and I mean, to be honest, like the first one is almost a horror mystery because it's like, oh, who's the killer? What's going on here? The second one is a slasher with Baghead. The third one is a slasher in 3D. And then the fourth one just goes back to being a slasher. And then the fifth one is where they said, like, we're going to do something different. It's not going to be Jason. It's going to be a big surprise reveal, but it's still just a slasher. And it actually has minority characters. And then, yeah, it felt like this movie was like, all right, we're going to make the comedy one. And then in 7, it was like, all right, now we're going to make the one with superheroes. And then in 8, it was like, all right, we're going to take him to New York for a couple minutes. And then in 9, it was like, we're going to have Jason who isn't Jason. And then in 10, it was space. So I think like they hit a point where they weren't resting on their laurels and not all of the ideas hit. Trust me, after this one, not many of the ideas hit anymore, but they were just like, all right, how many times could we make 2 and 4 or 3 just in 3D? That's the only thing that was special about it. So they at least were trying. And again, like I said earlier, I respect the hustle. They could have just kept making slasher movies, but they were just like, we're going to throw in new ingredients each time and see what sticks.
So, and that's what I wanted to mention was, so you kind of said like what's coming up. This movie, essentially with bringing the zombie Jason into it, opens the gates for what we're going to get next, because once you bring zombie Jason in and you have this undead killer that comes back from the dead, now you can open up the gate where the next one can have a telekinetic girl. And then you open the gate where the 8 is a little bit more, I guess, standard.
It's grounded again, yeah, but it's on a
little more grounded. But then you get to 9 and it's like the hidden with Jason, right? Yeah. Where it's like a body horror swapping out thing. Oh, sorry. And then you get to 10 where now all of a sudden you get nanites, cyborgs and stuff like that. So yeah, I think this one, if it does anything, Patrick wants him to be a mummy in the worst way. All right, he's a mummy, goddammit. He's a mummy.
A fucking mummy.
Yeah, so at this point, I think that this is the one that opens up for everything else to kind of happen. Yeah, man, this one, boy, we're at an hour and a half. We're stretching this one out because this one's so hard to talk about, Stu. That's what you get for liking this movie. All right, so let's go into let me get here, and let's go into one of our first things that we like to do here. And the audience is obviously we want you guys to play along. If you've seen it recently, remember, let's talk about our favorite kill. I have a feeling, unless I'm totally wrong, that we might all be on the same page here.
I think we're actually not. So go
I
ahead.
have a feeling.
I think you and everybody else might pick one that I didn't really think was that impressive, but I have a favorite one.
Okay. All right. So I'll go first. I'll just get it right out of the way. We'll go to Larry and then we'll go to Stu, because Stu seems to have the surprise.
I might.
I initially, upon watching this, would have said the one I mentioned earlier, the girl getting her face pushed through the RV, right? Jason like pushes her face through a mirror. You don't see that part, but then you see the outside of the RV and her face comes through that would have been my pick if the next one did not pop through. And my favorite kill in this movie, and again, I think this is what Stu knows, is when Jason and the sheriff are fighting. Yeah. The sheriff's on top of Jason. He's beating him in the head with a rock. And Jason, it happens, Jason's just about to tap out, and then Jason catches his arm on like the 5th like rock throw.
Jason's
gives him, and then Jason goes like this to the audience, and then Jason's going like this, and Jason stands up and he does. And what happens is at one point he's beating Jason with the rock, and the referee comes out, Danny Davis, the referee, and they lift up Jason's arm once and it goes down. Yep. They lift up his arm a second time, it goes down, and now we're all like, we're gonna have a new world heavyweight champion.
Here it comes.
Third arm comes up, and now we get the finger, right? The finger. Now I brought this up once before. I want to just bring this up real quick. I brought it up on the podcast one time. When I was about 12 years old, my parents took me to see the WWF, mind you, live at the Hartford Civic Center here in Connecticut. And it was not a TV like they do the TV bills. This was a card that wasn't on TV, so it was all good matches.
House show.
A house show, right? Thank you. The main event was Hulk Hogan versus Killer Khan. Killer Khan was like this like Asian guy. He looked like a Mongolian warrior, and he used to spit green mist in the guy's eyes.
Love it.
It's always the best gimmick.
He spits the green mist in Hogan's eyes. He gets him in like the fucking, I don't know, the Mongolian chokehold of doom. They do the 3-arm thing. When Hulk Hogan, this is 1986 or 87, mind you. When Hulk Hogan's arm that third time stays up and he starts to shake his finger, I was like 12 years old. I can still feel the fucking electricity of what Gorilla Monsoon would have called the capacity crowd of adult grown men who were probably like 7 beers deep in unison coming at the same time. Hogan's finger goes up, he gets up, he slams the Killer Khan, he goes, he does the leg hits, the crowd then goes to like, now they're coming and someone's like tweaking their nipples. Everybody is like on fucking fire. You're looking around and people are actually literally on fucking fire. Literally. And then he covers him. You get the 3 count. He gets up. Howard Finkel fucking announces, I'm still. And now all these guys who are coming with their nipples being twisted are now getting a thumb in the ass and a hand job somehow. And this whole place is now electric. And the Harvard Civic Center is, when we left, we somehow were 70 feet in the air. If you never got to live through that, I'm telling you right now, man, when Hulk Hogan was in the building, that dude was like Kiss. He was like, I don't know, the Beatles. It was amazing. So anyways, what I'm getting to is he gets the 3rd hand up. Jason fucking breaks this dude in half. He takes him and he cracks him in half. And on the DVD, on the cut scenes, there's a more a gorier version. It's not so much gorier, but it just shows it from a different angle. And you kind of see he folds him in half and you see his head and he's like, it's a cast head, but he's like in fucking utter terror and his legs are like up. It's a weird looking angle, but and you hear the cracking and the crunching. And in the making of, the director said that when they got to the end of this, Paramount or whoever told them he had to add stuff because, as I think Larry had mentioned before, there wasn't enough gore or kills in this thing. So there was a couple of kills that were made a little bit, changed a little bit and made a little gorier. That one they backed off a little bit on, I guess. But Larry, what do you got?
Same. Yeah. No need to even go through it. Same one for me. I mean, I can go through a whole Hulk Hogan story as well, but we'll just. I'll go Ultimate Warrior when he starts shaking the ropes.
Yeah.
No, I actually never got to see Hogan. I only went to less than 5 wrestling shows.
I only went to 2.
The first one was Bob Backlund versus Pat Patterson. So you want to talk about old?
Jesus.
Yeah.
I was like 5 years old. My grandfather took me and my uncle there to New Haven Coliseum to see it. But I saw a couple of WWF shows. I saw ECW. Never got to see Hogan. Never got to see The Rock or any of the big ones. I got to see Goldberg's first appearance in the WWF in New York, but whatever. Who cares? I never got to see Hogan, which kind of bums me out.
I wasn't even a Hogan fan, but I can remember the feeling in the place when he won, all that. And the other thing was when the match started, when the lights went down and you literally heard, I am it was
real American.
Again, all these guys and it's like everybody's like shaking and like, I'm like, wow, yeah. This is fucking incredible.
I don't know if there was, I mean, I know Stone Cold and Rock were huge, but I don't know. Lots of leg scissors for Pat Patterson. I don't know if anybody was ever bigger than Hogan. I'm not a huge wrestling guy, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've seen Stone Cold and The Rock on TV and the pop that they get, but I don't know, man. When I was a kid watching Hogan on WrestleMania, like, I don't know if there was ever a bigger crowd response than when Hulk Hogan was fucking wrestling.
No, he was the biggest thing in the world for a long time.
Yeah.
And Patrick is right. I did see this on the making of. They did film that scene with 2 actors. So the sheriff actor was in, standing up in a hole, pushed back, and then there was an actor behind him upside down with his legs sticking out this way.
Sounds comfortable.
It didn't. Yeah, it sounds like a sex maneuver of some sort. But.
Yeah.
All right, Stu. What is your weird favorite kill? And if it's Lisa Turtle, if it's Lisa Turtle getting your head ripped off, you're fired.
This will bother people, but it actually ends up being the smiley face kill, just because the sheer effortlessness that Jason just grabs this guy's arm and kind of pulls him and just pulls this guy's whole arm off and sends him flying. That's the first time you really get a sense of like, oh, Jason is super powered now, motherfucker.
And even
it's just
I don't know,
so effortless. It's just like and his arm rips off and he goes flying into a tree. It's great.
I don't know if it's that scene or another scene, but you actually see a couple scenes where Jason like kind of realizes he's stronger. Like when he pulls the arm off, he looks at the arm.
Yeah, he's like,
what did I do?
Fuck, I've never done this before. You know, and when he punched through Arnold Horshack too, he didn't look at it, but I'm sure he was kind of like, "What the fuck's going on here?"
This is new.
Yeah. Well, there's that. Who do we have any other favorite kills from?
Anybody out there? I don't know if anybody's seen this thing recently, or I have a feeling they're not going to want to watch this anytime recently. But if anybody else out there has a favorite kill, throw it up there. I will throw it up along with us.
I feel like throwing up.
Let's see. All right, so let's get to the point where we do this thing. Let's rate this thing. I almost feel like we should start with Stu, because maybe his enthusiasm can channel towards us.
Think so?
I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm going to let Stu go first.
All right. I'll go first.
Actually, Stu, real quick.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you have the girls?
Yes.
Chris likes the girl's face in the trailer. You have our let's do our full ratings up to this point again.
Okay.
So to refresh everybody before we get into this.
Do you want me to do them by movie or by us?
Do movie and then just what each one of us gave it.
All right. So part 1, I gave a 2.75. Larry gave a 4.25, and you gave a 3. Part 2, I gave a 4.5. Larry gave a 5.0, and you gave a 3.75. Part 3, I gave a 2.5. Larry gave a 3. You gave a 2.75. Part 4, I gave a 1.5. Larry gave a 4, and you gave a 2.25. And then part 5, I gave a 1.75. Larry gave a 1.5, and you were up there on your 4.0 for fucking Roy the Killer.
Part five, man. It's hot. It's hot. All right. So let's start with Stu. Stu, obviously you really enjoy this thing.
I do.
What do you give this numerically?
So I gave part 2 a 4.5. I think part 2 is a legitimately good movie. This one, it's real close between 2 and this one, which one is just more fun to watch. Like, they're Jason's, like, 3 and 4 and 5. They're fine. They're Jason movies, but, like, I'm just watching them because they're Jason movies. Like, then this one comes on, and I am back to enjoying how I am spending my time. I am laughing. I am engaged in what's going on. This movie gets a 4.25.
Larry quit. I knew he was going to quit. That's a bigger reaction than when I give... His garbage can is on his head.
All right. What happened? What?
4.25, you say?
4.25. Just a hair under part 2.
Chris gives it a 2. And Dino gives it a 3.5. Dino likes this one. Keith gives it a 2.5 or 3. But because I don't like this movie, I'm going to go 2.5. I'm gonna change Keith down to the 2.5 out of 5. All right, so 4.25. Somehow for part 5, I said 4, and I got like the crazy look.
This is
Larry,
absolutely better than 5.
Larry, what do you give Jason? If it was a concert, it'd be called Jason Live.
Jason Live. All right, Detroit. So. Am I the only one who's given a 5 for any?
Yes. But you're grading on a curve that I'm not.
I am grading on.
You're grading them as Jason movies. I'm grading them as movies,
right? Or as Friday the 13th movies. I know you like to call them Jason movies, but
that's even crazier now. That's even crazier. Remembering that you're grading this a 4.25 on a scale of 5.
Like my letterbox score for this is that you can't do quarters, but my letterbox score for this is a 4.
Jesus. Patrick said 2.75.
I would, I'm going to have to find your letterbox because I want to see what else is a 4. Like if this is a 4 as well as like Reservoir Dogs, we're having a conversation. Like
I was going to say this is a 4 where I gave Reservoir Dogs a 2.5.
All right.
I didn't like my highest rated Tarantino movie is Inglourious Bastards at 4.5.
You're over Reservoir Dogs?
Yeah, a lot, way over Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, you were serious with the 2.25 for Reservoir Dogs?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So let's take it back to the Jason movies. See, this is a tough
you
one.
said Jason movies.
I did for you. I did for you. This is a tough one. I keep looking back to the part 5, which I gave a 1.5, because I really did not enjoy part 5. But I do find myself enjoying part 5 more than part 6.
No.
So I'm gonna go just because I do appreciate this would probably be under a 1, but I appreciate that the director tried something, so I'll go 1.25. 1.25.
All right. That's totally fair. Yeah, so I'm working a lot right now. I'm tired. All these movies so far, the Friday the 13th, but every one of these so far, I've been able to watch in one sitting without a problem. I watched Jason Lives 2 nights ago, and I fell asleep like about halfway through and woke up at like 1 a.m. and just went to bed. Went to work yesterday, had to work all day, and I was actively angry that I had to finish this movie to talk about it. So that to me says a lot, because if it was 5 for any of them, if that happened with any of them, I would have been okay with that. I would have been like, I go home and watch the rest of that Jason movie, whatever. Yeah, now you make me do it too. Okay. So this one, I was like, fuck, I got to go home. Then I was like, well, maybe it'll turn around. Maybe I was tired. So I pretty much watched, I started back a little bit and watched a good amount of it. No, this thing is not good. I'm gonna echo Larry, like he said. I watched that documentary, and the director was seemed very cool, and he seemed like he had like an idea. It just didn't translate for me. I'm gonna go a little bit above Larry, and I'm gonna give this thing a 1.5. Yeah, like I said, I just bought the huge box set. I spent $130. I'm glad I have it. I could picture every year at some point rewatching most of these movies. I can't tell you from 7 on, but I can tell you that at this point right now, 6 is like maybe an every 3-year thing to remind. Like, and I'll forget. Like I'll get to 3 years from now. I'll go. Oh fuck, this is the one Stu likes. That's what's going to end up happening, I think. So yeah, this is a 1.5 for me.
All right. Let me go through something right here before we move on to anything else. Like I said, I posted this article. I have some comments on this article. I want to give you where everybody who responded to me, where they put this movie in their rankings.
Okay.
So the first comment I have, number 1 movie of the whole list, Jason Lives.
Yeah, no, wrong.
Number 2 entry that I have, Jason 6 is the number 3 on his list. Let's see here. Scrolling through. Next comment, number 1 movie, Jason Lives.
What?
Yeah,
what
are these people? They've only seen Jason Lives.
Another comment doesn't have a ranking, but it says 6 is the best and the best slasher movie of the 80s, except for Dream Warriors.
6 is the best slasher movie of the 80s.
This person has his favorite movie was Jason X. So there you go. Different strokes for different folks. Next person, Jason Lives at number 4. Their number 1 was part 2. I would argue either part 4 or part 6 is the best film in the series. Another one that says 2 is my favorite. Part 6, Jason Lives, is the GOAT for me. People love this one. I love this one. Like you guys are the outliers on this one. You can hate my opinion of it, but you two are the outliers of
well, no.
Look over at the comments. The highest that any of in the comments gave it was 3.5 from Dino. Everybody else 2.
If you've got somebody on that list legitimately claiming that this is one of the best slashers of the 80s, they don't know slasher movies. It's that simple. It's that simple. You cannot say that Friday the 13th Part 6, the 80s was slashers. Slasher movies, that's what it was all about.
And this was a great one.
You want to talk to me about The Burning? You want to talk to me about literally anything. April Fool's Day? humongous. I'll take 1 billion slashers over this. You can't say this is one of the best slasher movies of the 80s. That's just insanity. That's crazy talk. I'll take Child's Play. I don't even like Child's Play. I don't even like it. I'll take Child's Play over this.
Yeah, this
is nobody
cheerleader camp.
Nobody in the comments of my article has 6 any lower than 4th on their list.
Well, 6.
Like I said, I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong because I did not like my lowest rated one so far. I think was part 4, and with the exception of 6, that was the other one that got the most love on my comments, and people gave me crap for rating it lowly. But it's like, hey, sometimes you don't like good movies, guys. I understand. I'm here for you.
Keith says this is the Rocky 4 of the Jason series. I want to disagree.
And Rocky 4 is the best Rocky.
Now you've lost your mind.
Now you're
Rocky ended communism. Rocky ended communism. I could change, and Rocky could change, so everyone could change.
Yeah, I remember the speech.
That movie is approximately 85% montages. I believe you will find.
Yeah, it is.
We're gonna need a montage. All right. There was so 2 things that could not save this movie. One of them because it did not end up in it, and one of them because it just didn't give it enough of a cool factor. Is this is the first Friday the 13th film that ends up with a rock song tie-in, right? We have Alice Cooper doing He's Back, the man behind the mask.
Yep.
It doesn't. There's 3 Alice Cooper songs. He's Back, Teenage Frankenstein, which is playing I think when he's driving the RV, and Hard Rock Summer. But none of those bring it up. I must break you. If he dies, he dies. Yeah. The other thing that was in the script that never made it into the movie was they were going to actually have Jason's father. They had him named Elias Voorhees. Perfect. He was going to be alive. Yeah, he was going to be alive, and he was going to be somehow like helping Jason. I don't, and they just said, "Fuck it, don't do this."
Jason needs to get into tag team action.
Yeah, Jason's one of the Road Warriors. Hawk Animal, Jason.
Oh, man.
I think that's all we got to say about it. Now, I'm a little nervous because Stu's not wrong. This movie sucks. He's wrong about that. But when I was putting out different things online to promote this and reading up on it, I did see a lot of people say that they love this one in particular.
Yeah.
Now, what makes me nervous is I also saw a ton of people saying that 7 is their favorite. And now I'm worried as fuck about 7 because I'm hoping...
I remember liking 7, but it may be the one it's been the longest since I've seen. So
okay.
I could be way off on my memories of 7.
Yeah, and to Stu's point, when I posted this on my Instagram, a couple people said this is my favorite of the series. You know, some people like things. I don't know why.
Some men just like to watch the world burn.
Yeah. I will make a suggestion though.
This is the Joker's favorite movie.
Some men just like to watch the lake burn.
Yeah. I will make a suggestion, Stu, and I mean this with all my heart. Whoever told you that this is the best slasher of the 80s, you should unfriend immediately. Just immediately unfriend them.
They didn't say it was the best. They said it was the best after Dream Warriors.
So first of all, calling Dream Warriors the best is insane as well. Yeah. But I like Dokken. I like Dokken too. But no. There's a lot of slasher films in the 80s
Patrick has it down there. 7 is the first one I saw on a big screen also.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I saw it at a drive-in, not like in a movie theater, but big screen.
I saw only one of these on the big screen, and it was not because I was a fan. It was randomly. I saw 2. I saw 2. I saw Jason Goes to Hell, and I saw the reboot with Sam Winchester.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I will poise that you also saw 2 and 3 on the big screen. But
yeah. Oh yes. Right. Yes. I was thinking about an original run, yes, but I did see 2 and 3 at Connecticut Film Classics. Which, if you ever want to check them out, you should go. Well, I don't have that here, but check Larry out at horrornewsnetwork.net. I'm super excited because I don't know if you guys know this or not, who are paying attention to this, but every year at the end of the year, Larry comes out with what is the number on it, Larry? Like how many movies?
Well, this year it'll be 20.
20. It's top 20 horror films of the year. So, and these lists are always great. You can go back. Maybe Larry could share them out on like the Pint page or something from previous years. So if you're looking for some cool horror movies to check out, I've definitely checked some of the ones out. Like, let's see, what was the one, Larry, you had mentioned? I loved it too. The Transfiguration. The Transfiguration was a great one. You had told me about
probably
One Cut of the Dead.
One Cut of the Dead, yeah, that
One
was
Cut
one
of
of my
the
favorites
Dead.
from last year.
Oh, that's
which is fantastic. So every year for horrornewsnetwork.net, where Larry is a staff writer, he comes up with a top 20 horror movies of the year. And obviously that'll be coming probably like towards the end of December. Or do you do that at the beginning of the year? How do you do that?
Depends on where I am, like how many I've got left to watch. I like to try to get it done by late December, but last year it snuck into like mid-January because I had a bunch still to watch. So
Right.
but I'm pretty caught up. I've seen about 60 movies that came out this year. I've still got a list of about another 25. I should get through those by December. So
wow. All right. So go to Horror News Network, check that out, and check out Larry on this week's episode of the Nomcast. Our buddy Andrew Morgan, who Stu and I did an episode together of what was easily one of the worst. It was maybe the worst movie I've seen all year. It was such a. Remember when I said how I didn't want to watch
The Last Days of American Crime? Is that what it was?
A Netflix original. It was the biggest piece of shit. I would watch Jason Lives on a loop for a full day, then have to watch that movie one more fucking time. It was the worst thing ever. It was so bad. And if you want to check Stu out, so check Larry out on the Nomcast this week, and check Stu out at SWO Productions. He's got his lists, he's got reviews, and he is on Collateral Cinema this week. Vinny Vincent Invasion. So you could check him out talking about what was it, Spider-Man 3, right?
Yes.
All right. And with it here at Pint of Comics, if you check out the latest episode of The Pint, again, this week we are talking about 1999's Nicolas Cage snuff movie thriller. It is called 8mm, and it is it's icky. It's a little icky, but it's a fun show. Yeah, that's the 8 for Stu there. As always, thank you for everybody who comes and watches these and hangs out and listens. And we will be back in probably a couple weeks pretty soon to talk about
Jason versus Jean Grey.
The hopefully better part 7. Because part 6 is garbage, and Stu's wrong about it. So check us out at Pint of Comics. Thank you for everybody that's been on, and we will talk to you soon. See ya.